I'm Danny Barnts with the CCAA, and joining me today, we have head coach Brian Fogel with the Chico State women's basketball team. Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
Fantastic. Well, you guys are a little ways. You guys have actually played your first conference game already. You guys are 4-2 on the season and 1-0 in the league. But we just wanted to take a minute to just learn a little bit about the Wildcats as we head into the CCAA conference season. So, Coach, been unique, 6 games into the year, but tell me, what have you learned about your team this year?
Well, it's we have 4 returning seniors, and so we're relying on them heavily. We have 2 transfers, students as well, and then we have a couple of freshmen. So there's 12 of us all together. We have eight returners in all from last year's squad, and so right now we're just trying to piece things together and gel, trying to figure out what we do well and where we need to improve. And but I'll say this group is very spirited. I think they enjoy one another. They enjoy coming to practice. They want to get better. They're doing, and I think we are getting better. But it's a very fun, active group that is looking forward to having a fun season.
And part of that, when I look through, you kind of touched on something right there. It seems like you guys aren't relying on 1 or 2 players. You guys have 6 players scoring 7 or more points a game right now. Tell me about the way you guys seem to just be sharing the ball out on the court and probably letting everybody help contribute to the team.
Yeah, I think in order for us to be successful, we definitely need to be able to share the ball. I think Miley Martinez is a very good shooter for us from the 3-point line. We have Haley Ison that can score inside. Brandy Huffhines is a player that is a transfer from Long Beach State, and she's adding some nice leadership in the backcourt, along with Zane Duckett, who was a transfer from East Bay that was an all-league selection last year. And so, and then we have Bailey Jones coming back from last year, a 3-point shooter. And so Mackenzie Laporte. I mean, there's just a little bit of everybody, and we're trying to find that balance. But I think for us to be able to be successful, we definitely need to be able to share the ball and rely and play to one another's strengths.
You touched base on that one a little bit amongst the individuals and the depth of your team, but tell me, what do you feel is one of the strengths of your team? Maybe something I couldn't look through the box score and get, or in the stats. What do you feel is the strength out there?
Well, I think our 3-point shooting is going to be good. If you looked at the stat sheet right now, you're right. You wouldn't be able to point that out. Now, a couple of our shooters aren't shooting it as well as they are capable of, and they'll get there. They'll definitely get there. But I think we're a team that likes to get up and down and play in transition, and each time we take the floor, I feel like we're getting better defensively. We're understanding our assignments, and for us to be able to be successful, we have to communicate and drop our anchor on the defensive end and try to challenge shots so that it would create fast break opportunities for us to get into our transition, and then let that puppy fly from beyond the arc.
So you've mentioned you had quite a few returners back to your team, but you did add some new players in. So you guys have probably been together, conditioning and stuff since September, first practice October 15th, something like that. But what has been something that surprised you about your team through the first 6 games of this year? What is something that you would not have been able to say on October 20th that now your team has, something that's just surprised you?
Well, I think something that's really important for teams that are going to be successful in all my years in coaching is you have to enjoy one another, and you have to like one another. I think that's really, really important. And these guys, I think they genuinely care about each other. They want to get better. They compete. I was pleased to see us come back and compete right away. And so I think those are factors that are important, that kind of surprise. And I don't know if it necessarily surprised me, but I'm just happy that it has gone as smooth as it has up until this point.
Fantastic. So you mentioned shooting. That might just be the answer again for this one, but if I had to ask you, what are some keys or steps for improvement? Because let's be honest, you want to be better on March 1st than you are on December 1st. What would be some steps along the way that you think your team could take to be better on March 1st?
Well, I think shooting the ball, like you said, is something. But I think also part of understanding a part of shooting is understanding what is a good shot and what's not a good shot. And so shot selection is really something that is important. And we're identifying what is a good shot to maybe just letting it, as opposed to coming down and letting it cast right now. And so but I think that's something that our shot selection, if we can improve on that and take strides in getting better at that, is something that would allow us to be more successful in shooting a higher percentage from behind the arc and just shooting from the floor in general.
Perfect. Great answers. All right. So here's my last one. You've had some good success throughout the year. And I just want to know throughout the years, excuse me. And I'm sure you've set goals for your team, especially with the 8 returners and everybody back. But could you tell me maybe some of the goals, some of the things you'd like to accomplish with your team this year throughout the season, especially throughout the CCAA conference season?
Yeah, I mean, the league is so long, right? I mean, we just played Thanksgiving weekend, and we're going to go all the way through till hopefully into March, and be still standing around and playing. And so my thing is this: that I don't want us to get too high. I don't want us to get too low. And understand this thing is definitely a marathon, and it's not a sprint. And we need to continuously work on getting better and becoming more cohesive as a unit, and understanding what our strengths are, and developing and growing individually as well as a team. And so, I mean, and then our goal obviously would be to be able to play in the conference tournament and make a run and see what ends up happening. And obviously, because of the strength of the CCAA, if you can finish in the first, 2 spots, maybe even the first 3 spots, you probably have a legitimate chance to be able to move on into the NCAA tournament. And so if that opportunity obviously arose, we would be thrilled to be able to do it. But really, for us, it's just trying to take this thing 1 week at a time and just slowly get better day in and day out, so that we would have the opportunity to be able to play in March.
Well, fantastic. I think that's a very fair and lofty goal on that one. And nice to say that you guys already got 1 CCAA win under your belt.
One down and 46 to go, it feels like.
That's fair. You guys will have a couple tough tests coming up this week, as you guys will face Cal State LA and San Marcos. But Coach, just thank you very much for just taking a couple minutes, giving a little insight into the Wildcats women's basketball team, and good luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate you doing this. Anytime we can promote women's basketball in our league, I think it's important to be able to do that. And so thank you for everything, and look forward to catching up with you down the road.